Hey, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Molly.
And
we're Jeff and Molly Outdoors.
About as thick as a dime on the edge, which it's a scandy, so it's Not a very big bevel. And then, like I said, about dime thickness. The blade looks good and straight. The edge looks straight. The spine looks straight. It looks pretty good. Feels good in the hand. I'm going to leave a 90-degree edge on the back for striking a ferrule rod. It's got a little bit of a drop point, but it's still thick, and I'm going to bevel that, which I had small bevels on there, but I ground them out. But I'm going to go ahead and put some fine bevels on, just probably from here down to the tip. And then we'll heat treat it. I got some elk antler to put on it. It'll need washed up, cleaned up. And we're going to use this end, this elk tine. It's plenty wide enough. That is St. Night.
How much we need?
Just enough to put a thin coat on that. That's what I'd use to make hamon lines and stuff, but I don't want a hamon line on this.
So what are you doing? Where are you putting this then?
All over.
Going to cover the whole blade?
Yeah.
And handle?
Yeah. Preheat that blade. Now we're going to take it out and let it cool, kind of normalize, let it, do its thing. And we'll probably have to switch out a tank in between these. I don't know. Did you get a picture? It's dark.
Popping off of there like popcorn. Okay. Heating up the oil.
150 degrees.
Pop them between 118 and 127. last thing we want to hear is ping
Ping.
when it goes into the quench.
Yep. It's been soaking for about 10 minutes in there at 1500. Little bit hotter than 1500. I'm gonna flash it in the water first. I'm agitating it straight up and down so it doesn't warp. If you swash it side to side, you'll warp the blade. And don't look too bad. That don't look too shabby. You have just a couple of minutes where you can manipulate that thing when it comes out. And it's looking pretty doggone good. That right there will do it. Oh! Look there. Yeah, that file is not touching it. File is not touching. See how it does the, I don't know if you can tell. See how it's kind of digging in on that? But on this, man, it's just skating. So it's skating the file. I mean, that thing is hard. So the edge is hard.
Good.
Now that back there wasn't quenched, so see how that's hitting that now? See that? How it's stopping?
Yeah.
And watch this. It's just skating. It's skating that file. Hear it? Thing's as hard as a rock. Anytime you use a bind, anytime you use a grinder or a buffer wheel, you always make sure you work off the bottom, never off the top. This thing's spinning this way. It'll throw a knife across the room, stick it in the wall, stick it in somebody else, stick it in yourself. So always work on the bottom, okay? After your knife's been tempered and you're grinding on it more, if you ever get that thing too hot to touch, you probably ruined your temper in it. Alright? So we're going to temper this at 400. I'm going to do it for an hour, and then we're going to come back a little later and just see what the color looks like. Now we're looking for since we're going to be banging on this knife, we want a little bit of a darker straw color, not a real light straw. We want a medium dark straw. Okay, and that'll be tough enough you can bang on it and use it good. Oh yeah, that's coming up to heat now. Timer. Whoops. Well, I guess 62 minutes is okay. Tomorrow we're going to come back, we'll clean these up, clean this elk tine up, and we'll cut it off, clean it, and we'll have to saw it down through the center, and then we'll have to make them flat so we got two nice scales. And so we'll have elk scale handle on this knife, okay? Now, I probably won't do any liners since it's natural. Although I might put a divot in it for a bow saw. Alright? Oh yeah. That's just what I want. I don't know if you can make that out. It's too hot to hold. You can kind of see that collar. It's not a light straw, The camera's making it look lighter than what it is. It's a little darker than what it is in
nice
here.
color.
All right, I'm gonna put her back in the temper again for another hour.
That's just where I want it.
So put that in the center. That is perfect. Let's see. Stop and cancel. We want to bake. We want 400 degrees. And we want the timer. I'm going to go 90 minutes. Alright. Well, that looks like that's going to come out real well. So the next thing we'll do then tomorrow, we'll cut this off, clean this up. I'll probably put it in some coffee, get some nice color on it. Excuse me, on this elk tine. And that's not COVID. That's just dust. I had a little cough. Sometimes I forget to put my mask on, and I breathe a couple of minutes bad air, and it makes me cough. But anyway, we'll clean this up, get it in some coffee grounds, this elk tine, and then we'll saw that down and flatten it out and get it fit to that blade, and we'll have 2 elk scales in on there, and I think that'll look pretty good. And I think we're going to put a divot also in that blade for a bow drill. I'll use a 1/2 inch bit or something, I'm not sure. Don't want it too big. Probably that one right there. That'll be a good one. And might go a little bit bigger. We'll see. And then we'll end up with a good blade. This is that billet of Damascus I've made for my son, for Cody. And he's going to use it. He's going to make a knife out of it. I think he's going to, I don't know what he's going to do. He's got a knife planned out that he's going to make, and that'll be good to see that. I can't wait till he's able to do that. All right. Listen, that'll be it for today. We're going to get on out of here. So, Lord willing, y'all have a blessed day, and we'll see you soon. Lord willing. Bye for now. All equaled out. This is what we got so far. Okay. You can see the pins coming through. And again, I'm using natural material. I'm going to take this thing off so you can hear me. But anytime you're using natural material like antler or bone, sometimes you just kind of have to go with the flow. You can see there's a swell at this end. I'm going to leave that on there for just to keep your hand from sliding off the knife. And then we'll even this all out. I had to grind it, the insides of it flat, so that I could see no air, no light, I should say, through the seams. Okay, it's all flat in there and lines up with the blade, and some grinding on this to get this spine to fit in. And then we'll epoxy it, and then we'll peen the pin, so there'll be a double connection there. Mechanical and chemical bond.
real smoothed out and finished at the ends. This is up toward the front of the blade, and polished down to a throw. Not polished really, but down to a 320 grit belt. Now we're gonna go ahead and get these scales put on, and then we'll grind this thing down, the scales down to fit the handle better. Alright, I'll try to stay in frame. Things will move fast. I can't promise how good this is going to be as far as video quality. I'm trying to keep it in frame. I've got some paper towels cut. I've got some denatured alcohol on them to clean up any spillover. All I gotta do is mix my epoxy up, which I'll do right now. We'll slap it in there, we'll squeeze these together, and Lord willing, eat some lunch after that, and I'll come out and we'll finish the grinding, making these scales fit down close to the blade. Alright, or both to the handle, I should say. Let's get these things going here. I want enough resin to fill all the holes, and I want some squeeze out, and I'm going to try to I'll mix these parts up equal, but I do want squeeze out on this. This is 10-minute epoxy. Putting the hardener in there now. All right. I'm gonna get it on the pins. I'm gonna get it on the antler. I'm gonna get it on the steel. I mean, we want epoxy everywhere so that we get a good chemical bond. And then I'll clean up any push out or any with my towels that I have prepared. Looking pretty doggone good right there. The holes on the blade is filled, the capacity, it's flowing out, and so when it gets pushed together with what's on the antler, it should squeeze out, hopefully. All right. Looking very good. Okay, I got my clamps ready. Let's go ahead and clean up some of this. Alright, let's squeeze this together here. You want this snug, but you don't want it so tight that it's squeezing out everything. Takes about 3 hands. In case you haven't noticed, I don't have. But you learn to deal with it. We got it. Everything looks really good. We're going to leave it right there for a few minutes. I'm going to clean up some of this epoxy. Some more of this epoxy. I should say, if I can ever get things out of my way. I'm worried, I'm concerned, not really concerned, but I really want to get the blade cleaned up, the front part of the blade, and the rest of this squeeze out. I'm not really concerned about, because I've got to grind down the antler to match the blank, the knife blank. And so that don't bother me a whole lot that there's stuff on there, because it's going to get ground off anyway. But I definitely don't want any on the blade. Of course, we're going to do some hand sanding. I should have already done some hand sanding. I'm not going to do much. This is a working knife. I've already got it ground down to a 320, so I'll just work on it a little bit. I normally, if I'm going to do any hand sanding, I'll sand it before I ever get this far. I'll get the blade finished. I'll cover it with paper and tape to make sure that it don't get scratched. But like I said, I'm making a knife, a working knife for bushcraft, making notches, things like that. Batoning this, I'm not afraid to baton with this. Baton wood with this blade, and I know, you say, man, it was made out of a file, but remember we took and made it awful soft in the forge before we ever started working on it, with all the normalizing cycles that we had, and so it was soft already. And then of course working it, made it soft. Now when we heat treated it, we got a real good heat treat on this thing. It was super hard. But we put it in the tempered it. We tempered it at 400 degrees for 2.5 hours and brought it down to a dark straw. It was a little darker than I really wanted, but that's all right. I know it's not going to crack. It's not going to bust. So I'm not afraid at all to beat on this blade. I'll let this sit while I go eat some lunch, and we'll come back out and do some grinding on this thing, and we'll finish this blade up today. And then maybe the next video, well, I'm gonna go fishing this afternoon, so the next video we'll make a sheath for it. I haven't made up my mind exactly what kind of sheath we're gonna make yet, but we'll figure that out when we get there. Okay. Well, Lord willing, we'll catch you here in just a minute after lunch. Working with natural materials like antler, and with it being round and with it being irregularly shaped, I wanted to keep the natural grains in it. I wasn't able to. This side here had a big dip in it, and so what I tried to do is facet the handle. You can kind of see them there, and try to make it match up on this side. Now that dip still is not going to be right. I wanted also to peen these pins to make not just a chemical bond, but a physical bond on there. Again, I'm not able to do that since I had to work on this, since that dip was in there. However, the blade's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and take it down some finer grits, and then we'll I don't know, I might put it in some coffee grounds and see how that does. Maybe darken the handle up a little bit. I might just leave it like it is. I don't know. I hadn't figured that out yet in my mind, but I'm pleased with it. I need to do a little finish work on this choil right here, so it doesn't kind of bite into your finger. But other than that, it feels real good in the hand. It's little handle heavy, but it's I think it's gonna make a good knife. Just a touch handle heavy for me, but that's all right. I'm not used to doing scanty grinds, and like I said, I usually do a full flat grind, or not a full flat, but I do a, you know, flat grinds most of the time. Well, let's see where this thing ends up. There we go. Again, that dip. Fastened. Almost all my knives get a, looks like a bird's head. Because of a choil. I like a choil. Just kind of keeps your hand from slipping. And I just like it, and since, you know, I like it, that's what I do. If somebody doesn't like it, then they let me know they don't want them in there. But knife feels good in the hand. It's got a sharp 90 degree edge on the back. It'll strike a ferro rod easy. Let me hit this with some smaller grits. Alright, let's see if we can't put an edge on this thing. At least get one started, and then I'll strop it, hone it, and strop it inside. A little thicker spot right there in the center of the blade on the edge. Took me a little while to get it down, and it wasn't that much thicker, but that's a 330 grit. So we got it pretty sharp. I'm going to take it in and hone it. I'm going to strop it a couple of times over here on the bench. Do some testing on this Scandi knife that we've been working on. We spent, I don't know, what was it, couple 3 days, I think, just a couple hours here and there. I think right now I got about maybe 7 hours into it, and it's nothing, you know, real special. I didn't do any hand sanding. Nothing real special as far as handles or scales go. Just a piece of elk antler that I had laying around. I got a bunch of elk antler and deer antler and mule deer, whitetail, and caribou, and got some goat horns. I don't know what, just a little bit of everything. But anyway, I want to do a little testing on this. See what we're going to do. We're going to baton a little bit. See how it makes some curls. I got something I can hit with. Got a piece of wood here we can bust. It's got 2 knots, one on each side of it. There's a natural crack in this side. Here we'll just kind of start there. This is nothing special. It's maple out of the yard, like you'd find in the woods. I've cut it with a buck saw. Just kind of get, you know, make it a manageable couple sizes, a couple pieces, manageable sizes. How's that? All right, so. Why would you want to baton wood? Well, and a lot of people argue that's the dumbest thing you could do is baton wood, yada yada. And you know, I'll be honest with you, I've only ever had to do it a handful of times, because what I'd always do is I start with like pencil lead size stuff to start my fires with, and then go up to sticks like pencil size sticks, and then my finger size, and you know, that kind of thing. But now if it's real wet and rainy, those little fine pencil lead size sticks and all the other sticks, they're going to be wet, and so you got to put up a tarp, you know, or a poncho, and you got to get under it, and you've got to baton through some wood. This might be a little bit big for this knife. This knife is, you know, I didn't even measure it, somewhere around 4.5 inches probably. gonna scoot that knife through some. Yeah, that's not too bad. This wood's probably not the best of stuff you could find, but it is hard. Can't get my fingernail in it. It's a little bit soft in places where it'd been laying, but it seemed like it batoned this piece of maple pretty easy, which it's not real hard stuff here that I'm working with, but I wouldn't be afraid to go ahead and work a harder piece of wood, piece of, you know, solid maple or oak, something like that. I wouldn't be afraid to do it. I had a good, this is kind of sickening in a way, but I had a real good temper on this blade, right where I wanted it, about a medium straw. And then dadgummit, man, if I didn't, I went ahead and put it in the temper cycle again, and for an hour and a half, and when it come out of that temper cycle at 400 degrees where I tempered the last one, it was deep. It was it was starting to get, you know, it was real dark straw, and even a little blues in there, some browns, blues. So it got a little hotter than I wanted. If I was selling this knife, which I'm not, I wouldn't even sell it because of that. The temper's a little bit off on it. But I'm going to carry it for about a year, just mostly for the Scandi grind. I want to see how it does for me, because I've just not used a lot of Scandi grind knives. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I've never used a Scandi grind knife. I've always used a bi-bevel knife, or, you know, a knife with two bevels, and so I've never used a Scandi grind knife. I never really, in my mind, I never cared for them, because all I ever had was knives with two bevels. And so when I look at the edge of a Scandi grind, all I see is all that meat, you know, right there at that edge, and I just, honestly, I just never liked the looks of that. I always, when I grind knives, you know, I've always done a flat grind or a hollow grind, something like that. Anyway, so it bevels good. This knife was shaving sharp when I started this. I didn't show you, but it was hair popping sharp. Let's see if we can't make some curls on this. I don't know. Here, let's try to hold this stump with my knee. Alright. Got some real fine curls right there. I mean, extremely thin. It seems like to me that this does better than knives I usually carry. As far as doing this, I was really trying to get some really super thin, fine stuff, which it does right there. You can hardly see it. It's very thin stuff it's doing, almost like hairs. Little tip of the blade just angled just a little bit, and we see that. Look at those nice fine little curls. I am impressed with that. I can't hardly ever seem to do that with my knives, with flat ground knives, I guess is what I'm saying. But those are very, very fine curls. I like that. Alright. That would certainly take a spark real easy. Try to make some heavier curls. Okay, got some nice heavier curls. There's, you've probably seen. I do like the ability of this to, let me get rid of this hump. The ability of this for making curls. Alright, let's play around a little bit more with it. Trying some heavier ones now, making a deeper notch into the wood. And again, it does a very good job on that. So I'm impressed about that. But since, like I said, I I hadn't used Scandi Grinds, Scandi Grind knife, and I just, you know, you hear all the hype, and in my mind again, you know, I'm thinking, good night, you know, that's a awful thin edge and a lot of meat behind it, which is good in some ways. It'll hold up good, I guess. Yeah, I like how it works. It does a very nice job. Got some really nice fine curls there. All right, let's see how the spine scrapes on this. One thing I do like to use a ferro rod, and oh yeah, I could probably make that spine a little bit. I don't know if you can see the dust coming off of there. Let me turn this edge over. See if I don't cut myself. I probably could make it. It's got a nice 90 degree edge on it, but I probably could make it a little bit sharper. But it has made just some nice, almost, well, it's not really chips, it's just a dust like. But I like an edge like that, a 90 degree edge on my spine. I carry a little knife on my pack. It's a Scandi Grind on my day pack. And it's got I made sure it's a knife that I made, and it's got a nice sharp 90 degree edge spine on it. All right. I'm running out of hair. There you can see. Still shaving hair. All right, let me go over here and get some cardboard. This cardboard that I have is covered in steel dust, and it's from these grinders, and it just permeates the pores. These boxes are what I get my steel shipped in. I'm gonna make 20 or so cuts on this. I use a lot of 1095 steel and 1080 steel. I use 15N20, and especially when I'm making pattern welded Damascus stuff, I use the 15N20. Alright. Again, this cardboard is permeated with steel dust. This is very thick corrugated cardboard. It's way over a 1/4 inch thick. Very stout stuff. Cut a chunk off of here just kind of for comparison. Pretty thick stuff. I guess you can kind of tell, but heavy duty stuff. Alright, I don't know how many cuts that is. About 38 cuts or so. We'll make it even 40. There you go. I think I want one over there. Okay, so there it is. Still sharp. Still shaving hair. I don't have a lot of hair on my arms left, but Still taking the hair off. It's I'll be honest with you, it's coming off a little harder than what it was earlier. All right, so, but like I said, this thing was in the temper oven too long, or it got too hot for some reason. I don't know why, which is why I wouldn't sell it. I always test my stuff and make sure it holds up. There's a little strap right here. Let's just run this over here a couple 10 or 15 times, and it's the green compound rouge that I got on there. Get some stuff up here. Okay, I think you can see that. So I just run that. Can't tell if you can see that or not, but I run that over that strap. Just dropped it just 15-20 times. I don't even think it was, I don't know, I didn't count, but just a few times, and it's right back to hair popping sharp again. So I think it's going to be a good knife. I think I'm going to be pleased with it, and I guess y'all just have to forgive me for never using a Scandi. Maybe tomorrow we'll work on a sheath, or maybe Monday. I don't know. Tomorrow's Saturday. I don't know exactly yet what I'm going to do about a sheath, but I have an idea or two. I usually use, can't think of the name of this. What's this stuff called, Miss Molly?
Kydex.
Kydex, thank you. I usually use Kydex, but I might do a hybrid type thing. Anyway, I want to thank you for joining me today and spending some time with us. And Lord willing, we'll see y'all at another time.